how's it going? I'm Sarah. I'm a first-year PhD student in religious studies at a Canadian university, but I also have an MA in English and the digital humanities, as well as an MRes in social anthropology. So the humanities and social sciences are kind of my academic jams. Welcome to my channel. This is a place where I am documenting my own struggles through grad school and hopefully helping some of you with your struggles in university or college or whatever it is as well. Since I have a seminar presentation coming up later this week in one of my classes, I figured that I would take the opportunity to kind of vlog my process of creating that presentation and kind of the steps that I take to get to that final product and to actually kind of giving the presentation. This presentation is for a class that I'm taking in English and film studies, so it's a bit more humanities based, whereas kind of my degree in general is more social science based that I'm in right now, but hopefully it will kind of like be helpful for anyone in social sciences or humanities. This is also my last seminar presentation that I'm going to be doing for quite some time. Like, it might be my last seminar presentation ever, which is crazy because after like April, I am done classes. Like, I will not be taking classes in my PhD again. That's kind of over for me. So next year is really just like studying for comprehensive exams, and then after that I will be writing my thesis. So yeah, classes are pretty much almost done for me, which is crazy to think about because I've been in university for like 8 years. So it's weird that like I'm coming to the end of an era with these classes. So anyway, I thought it would be interesting to just kind of film my last seminar and like how I'm working on that. Yes. So my seminar presentation is going to be on the first 5 chapters of this book, Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell. And it's for a course on posthumanist memory in film. So it's a kind of like interesting like theoretical course for me because posthumanism is kind of like an area that I tend to gravitate towards in terms of theory. Oh, someone's at the door. Got a package from Amazon, which is super exciting. Got some caffeine pills because that's super healthy, I know. Fantastic, right? And also some L-theanine? L-theanine? Am I saying that right? I'm not sure. Anyway, supposedly this is going to help me focus a little bit better and actually concentrate on things. So maybe I can get through all the readings that I need to do this week. So this seminar presentation is going to be on Wednesday. It is currently Monday afternoon, so I have a little bit of time to get things done, although I have a bunch of other readings for my other courses that I need to do as well on top of that. So it's going to be fun over the next few days, but this seminar presentation is kind of my priority right now, so that's what I'm going to be focusing most of my attention to. I haven't fully finished reading the 5 chapters that I'm presenting on, so I will do that today, as well as kind of reading as much of the book as I can get read before Wednesday, just because I do kind of want to have a good idea of the whole text, even though I'm not necessarily presenting on all of it. I have, however, listened to all of the 5 chapters that I'm presenting on and then some more in the audiobook version of the text. So this is kind of like my number one thing that I do whenever I am presenting on a book, or if I have to write about a book for an essay or something like that. I always try to listen to the audiobook first before I read it, if I can. So this obviously works better for like novels because there's usually an audiobook of a novel, but it can also work for like more theoretical texts as well. So when I'm writing essays that kind of really revolve around a specific text, I will pretty much always listen to the audiobook first before reading the book. This is because I am a really slow reader, and I'm also a very distracted reader. So listening to the audiobook first helps me to get the kind of like gist of the book. It helps me kind of understand what's going on, the kind of main ideas of it. So obviously when I'm listening to an audiobook, there are going to be things that I will miss as well. Like, my mind's just going to kind of wander. I don't get the whole book when I listen to the audiobook, but then I go back and fill in the gaps by reading the actual physical text. This is a really good strategy for me personally, because when I'm listening to the audiobooks, it'll help me identify what like important parts are and what kind of things I should be focusing on. And then when I go back and actually read the book, I can go back to those parts and read those much more carefully. As someone who is like a very distracted person in general, it really helps to kind of have these two formats. And it does take more time. Yeah, like audiobooks take a long time to listen to. So there is that, like it will be more time consuming, but when I listen to audiobooks, I'm usually doing something else as well. So I like to listen to audiobooks when I'm like cooking dinner. I like to go out on walks and listen to audiobooks as well. Or even before I like go to bed in order to fall asleep, I'll sometimes listen to audiobooks, and that often helps me fall asleep. And also I get like a bit of that book in my brain before I go to bed. Obviously, this isn't going to be a strategy that will work for everyone. It totally depends on like what kind of learner you are and everything like that. So once I'm done listening to the audiobook, or when I'm partway through the audiobook, I will go back and actually read the actual text. And as I mentioned, I am quite a slow reader, so one of the kind of techniques that I use to help with that is active reading. So for me, this involves like underlining things, circling things, writing things in the margins, like all of this, so that I'm actually like doing an active read of the book and I'm actually like engaging with it as I'm going along. I know a lot of people don't like to do this. They don't like enjoy writing in their books, but I kind of have to. Like if I don't do this kind of reading, I'm not going to retain anything, and I'm just going to become completely distracted while reading. So I circle really important words, I underline important sentences, I write notes in the margins that have to do with either my thoughts on what's going on in the text or reminders of what's going on in the text. So especially with like heavy theoretical texts, if I don't write down some like key points from that like page or whatever at the top of the page, I'm just gonna forget it. Like I'm gonna totally forget what I read. Having those notes in the margins and at the top of the pages really, really helps me because I really do need that reminder of like what it is that I've actually read, like what is being said here. I absolutely love using colored sticky tabs as well. These are like fantastic for me, necessary to my like reading process, because I find that they really help me break things down into various themes and help me kind of go back and look through the book for specific themes. All right, so I have 2 more chapters left of this to read in terms of the sections that I'm presenting on Wednesday. So I'm gonna go ahead and read those now, and I will check in with you guys later. So it is quite a bit later now. As per usual, it took me way longer than I expected to actually read through the book. I should generally be giving myself way more time to read things than I actually do. This is something that I am constantly kind of failing to do. I guess that's my time blindness. I've made like a lot of notes throughout this. I've got like a lot of sticky notes going on throughout the book, made a lot of like notes on my thoughts, and there's a lot. There's a lot in this book, even in these like first 5 chapters, that I could talk about. So I'm not sure what it is exactly that I want to focus on yet, because there's just a lot, and my head is just kind of like a jumbled mess right now. So I'm just gonna brain dump some of my thoughts, get that written down, and then go from there and see what kind of arises out of that and what themes I really want to focus on for this presentation. I spent most of this morning doing some other readings that I had for another class, and basically just having a bit of like an anxiety attack, like just a kind of general freak out about how much work I have to do this week and how much stuff I have left to do on top of this seminar presentation. So yeah, that was really fun. I really enjoyed that. Last night I stayed out till about 2, taking notes on Cloud Atlas and kind of getting some of my thoughts out. I think now I have an idea of the general themes that I'm going to focus on and kind of some of the like aspects of the text that I'm going to bring up. I'm really going to look at the relationship of like memory and language in relation to the human and like how we understand the human. And the post-human as well as the non-human, and kind of bringing those things in together. So really the focus is a lot on like language and writing and texts and like creative works, I guess, and also memory and post-humanism. So we'll see like how these things tie together. I'm not entirely sure yet exactly how I'm going to bring them together, but I'm going to figure that out and hopefully not be up incredibly late working on this. We'll see. It's like it's almost 6 now, and today has not been as productive as I'd hoped it would be. It's just been like a wild ride with mental health today, and I'm gonna do some secondary readings. There was one secondary reading assigned for these first few chapters, like a critical theory reading on posthumanism in Cloud Atlas, so I'm gonna do that. And then do some other readings that I found as well, just like look at some articles that discuss posthumanism and Cloud Atlas and some other kind of areas as well. And then tie that all together and somehow create a presentation out of that. So yes, that's the goal. So I finished reading some of the additional papers that I was going to read for this. One of them is pretty helpful. The other ones were kind of like meh, so I don't know if I'll include too much from them, but one was super helpful and like has kind of shaped my thinking for this, so that was great. I've created like a rough outline as well, so this is just like basic points of what I want to say, basic kind of like breakdown of the various sections. So that's what I have now. I'm going to create a more structured kind of outline, kind of like a script, I guess, for what I will be saying. When I write these like scripts for presentations, I don't tend to write things like word for word. I think that it's a lot better to just kind of talk. But like important points and kind of the general idea that I want to get across, I'm going to write down now and just like kind of create that like actual outline for things. So that's what I'm going to work on now. It is, what time is it? It is almost 11. So it's going to be a late night, as expected. So I did not really film much more last night because I was up fairly late and I didn't want to wake my partner up. I was up until about like 3:30 working on this seminar presentation, but I got it done. I finished the PowerPoint presentation, finished writing my like outline, my notes for it, and I'm feeling pretty ready for it today, albeit very, very tired. So just generally, I guess I'll kind of take you through what I did for the PowerPoint presentation. I don't like putting a lot of text on my slides. I like to keep it very like minimal with the text, just because I'm the kind of person who like, if I see a whole bunch of text on a slide, I'm not going to be reading that. Like I can't read and listen to what somebody's saying at the same time. Like I cannot multitask in that way. So, you know, if there's like just a dump of kind of text on slides, like that's not gonna resonate with me at all. So I keep it pretty minimal with my slides, just kind of the important points that I'm saying. And if I'm like pulling quotes from anything, I'll put that up on the slides. And then I'll use like a lot of pictures alongside that because I'm also a very visual person. So having these visual aids is really helpful for me. So that's pretty much what I like to include in like my presentations and everything. So I've got about like 10 minutes until class now. I've run through it once, just like very quickly. It's a little bit longer than it should be, but that's fine, whatever. I'm feeling pretty ready for it, pretty tired, but I'll make it through. I think that it's going to be pretty good. I feel pretty decent about this. Public speaking, presentations, things like that, I'm not particularly good at. These are things that bring up a lot of anxiety for me and have always been a struggle for me, because I find that I'm not someone who is really able to get across what I want to say verbally very well. I'm much better at getting my ideas across in like written formats. So that, it does raise some anxiety for me, but I think like as long as I have, my main points written down, I know what I'm saying, I think it's going to be okay. I've also lit like a scented candle to have going while I'm giving the seminar presentations, just to like help me calm down a little bit, reduce that anxiety a little, kind of help me with that stress. We'll see how it goes. I'm gonna get ready to hop on Zoom now, and I will check in with you after once I'm done. So I started this presentation kind of talking about art and stories and narratives and kind of questioning, what is the power of a narrative? And I want to return to that question now and thinking specifically about like, what is the point of it all? What is the point of kind of writing these stories as human beings? And what kind of impact does that have? What's the point of art then? What's the point of music? What's the point of narratives, stories, everything like that? What impact do they kind of ultimately have? Is it about immortality or is it about something else? And what is that, I guess? And that's not something that we have to answer today necessarily. Maybe when we kind of look at the latter half of the book, we can talk about that. All right, so I am officially done my last seminar presentation of the semester, of who knows how long. Like, this might be one of my last seminar presentations like ever, I guess, as a student. I don't really know, because this is my last semester of classes, which is absolutely like totally crazy. Yeah, so I don't know if I'm going to be giving many seminar presentations in the future, at least not like as a student taking a course. So this is pretty monumental and really exciting, and it went pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it. I did like stumble up a few times and forget what I was saying mid-sentence, as tends to happen. But I think that like besides that, it was pretty good. I think people did enjoy it, did like learn things from it, and then the discussion after was really, really good. So I learned a lot from the other students in the class, and like it's been really helpful for like my thinking about this text and kind of thinking deeper about some things. So yeah, it was very productive discussion, which is all I can ask for with a seminar presentation. Right now I have another class coming up in 2 hours, so I need to do some readings for that and prepare for a meeting that I have after that as well. So I don't really get to relax right now, but I think this evening I will maybe celebrate a little bit, because why not? Last seminar presentation, I think this deserves a little bit of celebration. So I'm gonna do that, and thank you so much for watching this video, especially if you made it to the end. I hope that it was like interesting or maybe helpful in some way. Just seeing how someone else does seminar presentations. I don't know if it will be helpful for you at all if you're a student as well. I did enjoy like making it and kind of filming my process of doing this. So I'm probably going to film my process for some like upcoming papers that I'll be writing. So if you like that kind of content, please subscribe, give me a like, comment below as well if you're a student, if you're working on seminar presentations, anything like that. I'd love to hear from you, love to connect with you. And I guess I will see you in the next video. So have a lovely day.